OWN.
Madlanga Commission hears about how a plot to kill an ANC Youth League politician was ignored and another postponement in the asbestos trial. Good afternoon, I'm Maiki Molapo. We begin in the capital, where an undercover intelligence operative has told the Madlanga Commission he knew about a plot to kill former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Magaqa of Pitso Mosimane, who's been linked with a possible return to the club over the past few weeks. On the pitch, the Brazilians remain top of Group C and take on Hilal in the return leg on Friday. Switching over to the SA20, where the Sunrisers Eastern Cape are the champions for the third time in 4 seasons, having beaten the Pretoria Capitals by 6 wickets. Devout Beerver's century saw the Capitals post 158 for 7, while a 114-run unbeaten 5th wicket stand between Matthew Breska and Tristan Stubbs saw the Sunrisers reach their victory target with 4 balls to spare. Coach Adrian Burrell has lauded his team for their well-rounded performances during the tournament.
We did very well in the auction, and I think we've got a very well-balanced team. I think we're probably no disrespect to other teams, but I think we probably got the most balanced of teams. We bat deep, we got good spin, we got good pace and high-quality batsmen, experienced opening pair. We've got a fantastic bench. They could have played. I think we got a really good squad here.
And at the Australian Open, Lorenzo Musetti, Yannick Sinner, Novak Djokovic, Amanda Asimova and Elina Rybakina are just some of the players to progress to the quarterfinals. A new women's champion will also be crowned this year after Jessica Pegula knocked out close friend and defending champion Madison Keys.
Obviously not the way that I wanted things to end here, but I'm still really proud of myself. I think coming back, being defending champion, dealing with all of the kind of extra pressure and nerves, I'm really proud of myself for how I handled it, and just one of those days where I feel like just beat me and I can kind of walk away with my head held high.
Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 17 minutes to 4, this traffic is brought to you by Plumlink, your local plumbing store. Visit plumlink.co.za to find your nearest store. South of Joburg, we've got some problems, I believe. Karabo Charlie has the details.
Sure, John. A few issues in the south of Joburg. Let me start in Southgate, where there's slow-moving traffic. If you're heading towards Eldorado Park on the Golden Highway between Chris Hani Road and the N1 Soweto, bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's in the Deep Kloof area on Chris Hani Road between the N1 and UJ campus. In Ridgeway, there's also some delays. This is on Rifle Range between Xavier and Shakespeare. And in Germiston, Ekurhuleni, expect some delays heading towards Boksburg Brakpan on the N17 eastbound between Osborne and Rondebolt Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. If it's plumbing, you'll find it at Plumlink, South Africa's largest plumbing retailer. From pipes, fittings, geysers and baths to basins, taps, tools and accessories, we've got it all. With more than 10,000 quality products at the right price and over 150 stores nationwide, there's always a Plumlink near you, ready to help with expert advice and unbeatable value. Find your nearest branch today at plumlink.coza.
Plumlink, your local plumbing store.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So there was an interesting study done looking at where young people would want to go and live, and very much focused on South Africa and within the kind of context of their lives. So it's not necessarily if you get a completely different job and your life transforms and you get to live in an apartment, on the Algarve in Portugal or wherever it might be, focusing on Gauteng, but other parts of South Africa as well. Where would you live if you could make a move? A small but significant move. Makobo says Hillbrow. Renee, I've said already, wants to go to Durban if she can. Nelvana says Cape Town. Anastasia says, if I win the lotto, a flat in Linden any day. Bongeni, the water troubles notwithstanding, would like to go to Knysna. And we had a punt for St. Lucia. Let me just find out who said that. Yeah, Nhlantla would very much like to go and live in the quiet. And I have to say, great beauty of St. Lucia. How about you, Tholakele? I mean, I don't know if you looked around Joburg and thought, like where I am, enjoy the neighborhood, but if I could, I would.
Go to Basonia.
Okay.
Love the area. The houses are big, like
double, triple story homes. Also, they recently have like new developments as well for like their shopping centers. So they're very nice. You also see lots of Porsches and Maseratis. So it lets me know it's an affluent area. So if anyone around there knows if there's a free house, buy the house for me and I'll take it.
Okay, great. Well, there are a couple of ifs there. The one thing about that area, I mean, there's fabulous natural stuff. It's quite hilly, and
Yes.
I've been for walks. I haven't cycled there, but apparently there's great walking, wonderful cycling.
It is, John. The only irritating part is their main road. There's just too many cars. But if you're inside the area itself, there's lots of people that walk during the day. You can tell that it's one of those areas that are walkable and you don't feel like you're ever in danger, because also their security cars are forever roaming. So you know there's someone that will be looking out for you.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we could solve two problems at once, because if we make it Porsches and Maseratis only, the car traffic problem will be solved very fast. Everyone else will be on bicycles. 702 Drive, give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
I try not to get utterly dismayed by the news at times. And most of the time, I think I succeed. Occasionally, I have to do a deep breath and, recommit myself to what we do here, which, is a great privilege, and it's something I really enjoy. But, when I saw the Sunday Times lead story yesterday, which in essence said that everybody who was responsible for making sure that Edwin Sodi, who had taken money to put in water sanitation facilities out in Hammanskraal, affecting the community. And let's be very clear about the consequences of that not being done properly. People died of cholera in the Hammanskraal area. And now, I'm not saying that it was a single cause of that, but every time money gets misused in that way, the consequences for people are grave. And in some instances, if you think of Tembisa Hospital, they are fatal. In essence, the story said at the bottom of all a long chain of but, then but, and if but, and maybe, and so on, was somebody actually was completely unafraid to say that they could not find his address. This is a prominent person. Now, there may well be a procedure in which he will contest whether he ought to be blacklisted or not. That is another matter. But to say you cannot get the process going because you cannot find the address of somebody in a prominent position in our society, the reasons for his prominence are neither here nor there. It absolutely beggars belief. And I cannot help feeling that if this was their money, the people required to get this work done, instead of ours, yours, mine, and a million others who pay tax regularly in various forms, they would have found out where he lived, because I suspect it's not that difficult. Right. Out of my system. I'm still a bit demoralized, though. It honestly beggars belief. It's 10 to 6. 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
So animated am I that I jumped 2 time zones. It really is 10 to 4. If you had to be somewhere at 20 past 4, do not worry. You are safe. Let's look at some better numbers and some better news. The South African economy, some interesting and it would seem largely positive things are happening. But as with the bad news, I think we also need to interrogate the good and try and understand why some things don't necessarily lead to other things. So, 2 things. The rand got below 16 to the dollar today. It didn't stay there. It's still in an extremely healthy position of 16 rand and 8 cents to the US dollar. The gold price is over the $5,000 to an ounce mark. 5,000 almost and 69 is the number in that regard. But what does this actually mean? Obviously, it's good news, but is it decisive in terms of what it might mean on some of our fundamental problems, slow growth, unemployment, and so on? Let's welcome then somebody who understands not just the numbers, but the way they relate to the real life you and I and everybody else lives, Chief Economist at Stanlib Asset Management. Kevin Lings, a very good afternoon to you and welcome. I suppose if I could give an example of the question I'm asking, the gold price has been roaring for a long time. Gold shares are absolutely wonderful for anyone who holds them, and presumably tax revenues being generated. But for example, has this led to more production of gold and more jobs in gold mining?
Hi, John. No, unfortunately, it hasn't. And if you look over the last year, gold production is down, not massively, but it's down sort of 3, 4, 5% year on year. And if you look over the last couple of years, it's kind of on this downward trend. So we keep saying we could, just think about how much better it would be if we were able to up our production, not just of gold, but for all of our commodities, because yes, gold catches the headlines, but other commodity prices have also done reasonably well. And if we were able to respond in terms of much better production, fixed investment in the industry, employment, then you'd have a massive boost.
Yes.
That's not happening. Mining production in total, at best, it's sideways to down. And so we are getting a benefit, but not the full benefit. Now, that benefit is on multiple levels, right? The one is, as you said, tax revenue, and that's not insignificant. And I think when we get the budget in February this year, the minister will be able to show that tax revenue again ahead of budget. So that definitely helps us.
Yeah.
It obviously helps us in terms of if you are investing in those companies. So if you happen to have part of your pension fund or you own shares within those individual companies, they've done spectacularly well. So there is that benefit. And then there's the benefit, obviously, of the currency being especially strong. And where that helps us is it does keep inflation reasonably low. And it also makes a whole lot of items that we have to import somewhat more inexpensive or more affordable. So there's a multitude of benefits that flow from this, but it could be better. And it could be better if we were at the same time we had the appropriate infrastructure, rail system, road system, electricity, water, and we were then in this expansion mode in terms of industry. Then I think the benefit would be even great. In fact, I think the benefit would be spectacular.
We'll come back to some of the way you've broken it down, Kevin Lings, and very usefully so. But let's step back to an intangible. Even if you're not in gold, and even if you're not either exporting or importing goods in some kind of dollar-based transaction, the intangible of confidence, in a sense, well, okay, this is not perfect, but it's a lot better. Does that have little tipping points where somebody says,
yes,
okay, we were planning to do one line on that new model bakkie we were doing, let's do a second?
Yes, it does. Difficult to find out exactly where those tipping points are, but they're very much there. And you get to a point where you have a series of events that evolve. The net effect of that feels a little bit more positive, and then suddenly it becomes self-reinforcing. By that I mean the confidence level then inspires somebody to do something. They start to invest, they start to expand, they start to employ. And once they do that, then that action, the action of them investing and employing more people, then naturally creates more economic activity, which then boosts confidence further, which then inspires somebody else to invest. So you need the confidence level to go up to the point where, as you say, it reaches a tipping point that it moves from just a sentiment feeling, a good feel factor, into I feel confident enough to take money that I've got in the bank. I'm going to borrow some more money. I'm going to build a business. I'm going to employ more people. Once that happens, which is a confidence game, then you start to get the real benefit. And then it tends to, in most countries, become self-reinforcing. Unfortunately, we're not there yet.
Yes.
We haven't been able to get these set of factors all converge to really give us a good feel that results in a sizable pickup in investment. But you would say we're on our way to that point. Please don't ask me when it exactly happens. But
yes. Well, it'll happen more than once, won't it? It won't be a single event.
Oh, yes. And it's not just the gold price, right?
Yeah.
It's the fact that we had a credit rating upgrade not so long ago, the fact that we're getting the private sector involved in rail and port system, the fact that we're off the grey list, the fact that the markets themselves have done well. We've had foreigners buying into South Africa. There's a range of things when you sit and take the time that are moving in the right direction, that are systematically building confidence. And I'm confident at this stage that at some point it will tip into a much better economic cycle for South Africa.
And just finally, and briefly, if you can, I mean, strong rand against the dollar, good for imports, not as good for exports. I mean, are there any sectors where they would say, okay, we had banked on getting X from the grapefruit we were sending to East Coast in the USA supermarkets? I mean, are we, is the rand becoming too strong, or are we not anywhere near that?
It's starting to come into the debate. In fact, I had a whole meeting this morning on exactly that issue, and that is that you start to focus on the negative effect, which is you start to become uncompetitive. You start to lose export revenue. Companies who are looking to maybe expand into offshore markets, they feel their pricing is not going to be good enough, etc. And so, yeah, there is that negative, which outweighs at the moment the positive, significantly outweighs the negative, because the positive is feeding into all kinds of other things, including inflation. I think we'll get an interest rate cut this week. There's a broader array of factors that are feeding off the positive element. But there will be people out there who feel, wow, this is really hurting my business, and I've got to look for maybe alternative markets, or I've got to start to reduce my margin in order to price my goods effectively. And so if this persists, in other words, the rand instead of being 16 is now 15 rand 50, and now it's 15 rand, then you'll find that the pressure will build where companies start to be very actively complaining that the rand is now too strong. I don't think we're quite there yet in terms of broad-based complaint, but that's where you would head. So we're in the sweet spot. This is a good currency for us generally all around, and I'm hoping that we can hold on to these levels, not necessarily go significantly stronger, but then use the positive to broaden out economic activity.
Thank you so much. Kevin Ling, so much food for thought there. He is Chief Economist at Stanlib Asset Management. I mean, these trends we're talking about, are they affecting you? Maybe you're in a small business. Maybe you deal with people in other parts of the world. Maybe you're connected, not necessarily as a gold miner, but you provide services to gold mines. Maybe you have families who are mine workers or mine shaft bosses or even mine owners. Let's get a feel from out there amongst the 702 family what all of this means for you, if anything at all.
Do you suffer from migraines? Have you been previously diagnosed by a doctor and treated for migraine? Ask your pharmacist about previously prescribed migraine treatments that are now available without prescription. Brought to you by Sandoz.
Kick off to glory with Hollywood Bets and Aziz Shege. Be in the game. Go full speed ahead with the epic competition. You stand to win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures online or at your nearest branch. Live life in the fast lane. Bet now for your chance to score.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Naked people are popular at Braai's because naked people spend less money on insurance premiums. They have more money for T-bone steaks. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here. This is EWN.
Urgent evacuation notice issued for residents near Sentieko Dam, and Ekurhuleni elects new council speaker. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. We begin in Mpumalanga, where the Water and Sanitation Department and the city of Mbombela have issued a joint urgent evacuation notice for residents living downstream the Sintieko Dam. The department's Wali Ramokgopa says the dam's spillway slab has suffered significant damage, risking a structural breach that could severely affect its own downstream area. He says recent floods have compromised the integrity of the slab.
The SDP line was not properly anchored against the concrete, and then water actually came underneath the SDP panel lining and eroded the material. So it actually eroded the material up until the erosion went underneath the concrete slab that is supporting the concrete bridge, which is the culvert here, where the spillway is. So you can see we're almost halfway into the spillway slab. So this slab is actually sort of hanging.
We move to the East Rand, where the ANC's Dora Mlambo has been elected Speaker of the Ekurhuleni City Council. Mlambo replaces the EFF's Ntabiseng Chibenga, who resigned as a councillor in the city last month. Chibenga stepped down following a fallout with fellow EFF councillors and was redeployed to the Gauteng legislature. Alpha Ramushana has more.
The ANC's Dora Mlambo has been elected Speaker of the Ekurhuleni City Council after defeating the EFF's Nkululeko Dunga and the DA's Lucky Dinake. Mlambo won with 91 votes. The DA and the EFF's candidates received 69 and 31 votes respectively. ANC Regional Deputy Secretary Moiponi Mhlongo says the party is pleased to have finally secured the Speaker's seat.
We take this as a vote of confidence in the African National Congress from councillors of Ekurhuleni, where all three political parties, including the Democratic Alliance and EFF, would have fielded their candidate. The ANC would have emerged victoriously.
It's understood the ANC is also set to make changes to Mayor Dr. Kagaza's mayoral committee, which includes EFF and AIC councillors. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
The Johannesburg Magistrates Court has highlighted there is overwhelming evidence linking 44-year-old Victor Majola to the murder of Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris. Earlier today, the court denied the Soweto taxi boss's bid for bail as he stands accused of allegedly orchestrating the DJ's demise. Stock was shot and killed on December 16th in Johannesburg's CBD by an unidentified gunman. Majola was also reportedly identified by a witness earlier that day at the same spot the shooting occurred. Magistrate Annelise Tlhapi believes Majola poses a risk to society.
It is apparent to this court that the state has a strong case, if not overwhelming case, against the applicant, as the applicant was positively identified at the ID parade. There is the witness who saw him at the scene of crime as he was seated with the shooter.
An undercover intelligence operative has told the Madlanga Commission he knew about a plot to kill former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Magaqa 2 months before he was assassinated. The operative, referred to as Witness E, is currently under witness protection and has been testifying partially in camera today. His testimony has largely focused on the circumstances around Magaqa's death, who was killed in September 2017 near his home in Idisi in KwaZulu-Natal. Thabiso Goba has the story.
Witness E says he was told of a plan to assassinate Sindiso Magaqa in July 2017, 2 months before he was killed. Witness E says he raised this with his superiors.
In addition to informing them about the assassination plot, I also proposed some steps that we can take as the police to prevent the murder or to save Magaqa's life. And they did not want to listen to me.
At the time, Witness E says he was undercover in a cash in transit program which later formed into a political killings project. Witness E says in December 2024, he received a call from Police Minister Senzo Mchunu inquiring about Magaqa's death. Witness E says he told Mchunu everything he knew, including the names of government officials behind Magaqa's death. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
A request for legal advice by outgoing NPA head Shamila Batoy has caused delays and confusion in the Nkabinde inquiry. The inquiry is investigating Johannesburg prosecution's boss Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office. This is linked to the prosecution of former KwaZulu-Natal Hawks boss Johan Buerta and his Kato Manor unit. Batoy is the main complainant against Chauke and is the inquiry's first witness. Last year, she abandoned her testimony asking for legal advice, but today the inquiry heard that her request was rejected by the Solicitor General and her appeal also declined by Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubai, who suggested that she use the services of the NPA's lawyers. But now the evidence leaders want a week to explore possible conflict of interest. Advocate Temba Skosana.
Yes, Madam Chair, I think partly because that decision would be to say, we're bringing this additional information, which was not before the minister, to say, now grant permission that she be funded to employ another team other than the NPA legal team.
And Knysna's looming water crisis is not only placing pressure on residents, but is now beginning to hit one of the town's most important economic lifelines, tourism. Guest houses and hospitality businesses say fears around a potential day zero are already translating into cancellations and growing uncertainty. Kaylin Morgan is there.
In a town that depends on tourism to drive its local economy, business owners in Knysna say fears around a possible day zero are already translating into cancellations and a slowdown in bookings, raising concerns about the impact on livelihoods. Laguna Inn owner Alison Pichler says her business has already started feeling the effects.
So we had a lot of cancellations in December of locals having heard the bad news and not wanting to come. So the word is not pleasant because everyone seems to be panicking a lot.
Some accommodation establishments say they are introducing water-saving measures and encouraging guests to use water responsibly. Business owners are appealing to travellers not to cancel their trips as Knysna works to avoid crossing the day zero threshold. Kayleen Morgan, Eyewitness News, Knysna.
Gold's trading at $5,075.55 an ounce. The rand's at 16.06 to the dollar, at 21.93 to the pound, at 19.04 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $65.88 a barrel.
Protea Glen, Lenasia area expect heavy delays. This is on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Driving through Southgate, heading towards Eldorado Park, slow-moving traffic. This is on the Golden Highway between Chris Hani Road and the N1. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's in the Ridgeway area on Rifle Range between Xavier and Shakespeare.
A look at your weather. A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng with afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. Joburg and Vereeniging will both drop to overnight lows of 16 degrees and peak at highs of 32. Pretoria is at 18 and 33 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The Water and Sanitation Department and the City of Mbombela have issued a joint urgent evacuation notice for residents living downstream the Sinteko Dam in Mpumalanga.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 drive, it's 9 minutes past 4. Yeah, terrible news coming out of Mpumalanga. The imminent collapse of the Sinteko Dam, and people living downstream are being urged to move away. We can look more closely at that story after 5. But if you know the area, I've just been trying to understand better exactly where the river that feeds the dam actually runs. Obviously, there are issues that we need to look into in a great deal more detail. But I've been trying to look at maps and understand better where that river flows and who's in the line of this terrible catastrophe taking shape. If you know something about it, you know the geography of the area, please do give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. This seems to have been building up as a problem for a number of days, but if we can understand it a little bit more clearly, exactly who is in the line of threat and who's going to have to make this life-changing move. I believe it's along the Dikap River. But again, geographers, people who know that part of Mpumalanga, help if you can. 072 702 1702. Coming up, speaking of floods and the destructive power of rain and water, the Kruger National Park is faced with serious problems. Massive rains have seen the flooding of camps like Letaba, which is in the northern part of the center of the park. If people who know Kruger well will know what I mean, very much at the kind of Limpopo end of the Kruger National Park. But for example, 41,000 visitors who were going to come to the park didn't, and the financial implications are grave as well. Veli Okamp, Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, will be joining us a little bit later, shortly in fact, to talk about what government's plan in this regard are. But Langa Commission is back in business. They are hearing from someone called Witness E. I must admit, whenever Witness is anonymous, my ears do kind of prick up a little bit. And I listen more carefully, thinking, well, if they're staying anonymous, there's probably some dynamite evidence that they're about to deliver. But that, of course, isn't always entirely true, because some very, very important and powerful things have been said by people who were there, and you could see them and you knew exactly who they were. But Tabiso Gobe is our man at the Commission. He's with us at 5:10. It's 12 minutes past 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So we were asking you a question. Where in South Africa would you live? Is there a place that you would, if you could move to, you absolutely would? We're assuming to some degree a kind of consistency in your circumstances, although we did have a wish to live in a Linden flat expressed by someone who also wanted to win the lottery. Babawa says Waterkloof in Pretoria, close to the CBD but secure with big houses. Can't say I know the area very well. Been to a couple of dinners there, but both times at night. Dips says, same place I was born in the Eastern Cape. I have no dream of permanently living in a high-class suburb. And Joe says, Brakpan. I hear it is an upcoming place. People who live in Brakpan, tell us, how's Brakpan? And is Joe right to invest his hopes in your town, even if he hasn't yet invested his money? Call me on that on 072 7021 702, 13 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's get the very latest from out on the road. Centurion is getting a little bit jammed up. Karabo Chale has the latest.
Yeah, I just checked on Twitter. Sunroll just posted a picture of an accident scene. This is going to cause delays, I'm afraid, on the N1 northbound before Buerta Avenue. It's affecting about 3 lanes, so already causing huge delays. Traffic literally at a standstill. So avoid that route, N1 North approaching Buerta Avenue. In Protea Lane, south of Joburg, traffic heavily backed up on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. In Southgate, also slow-moving traffic heading towards Eldorado Park on the Golden Highway between Chris Hani Road and the N1, in Soweto. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on Chris Hani Road between the N1 and UJ campus, and in Parktown traveling through Joburg heading towards Boysons. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bains to the Crown Interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
I find sometimes, especially when we're emotionally attached to certain experiences, it feels impossible that there was an alternative explanation for the why.
I think that one is probably the hardest. And when we are in these types of situations, you need to kind of have a self-reflective moment. What are the steps or the contributions that I had made that led to this particular behavioral presentation? And sometimes how it is someone responds to you has got absolutely nothing to do with you. So when you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, I hadn't slighted this person, I didn't treat them in a particular way that warrants any of what is taking place, we have to then let go.
Nomsa Palisa Khadebe, founder and CEO of Neopsych Services.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Remember where you were when Shaba scored in 2010? Now imagine that magic again, alongside global football royalty like Didier Drogba, Del Piero, Puyol, and more. Juego de Leyendas 2026 brings the legends back for one unforgettable showdown. Goals, glory, and goosebumps all over again. Stream Juego de Leyendas 2026 now on Prime Media Plus. Download the app or visit primemediaplus.com. Brought to you by Prime Media Sport.
Naked people always get dessert. Because naked people spend less money on insurance premiums, they've got more money for Mulva pudding. Or cheesecake. Or both. With Naked, you can cover your car, home, and stuff in seconds. And because it's all online, it also costs less. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and start treating yourself like naked people. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
How's it, Doff? How's it, Savvy? Why are you sitting in your driveway all by your lonesome, Doff?
Selling my car, Sav. I don't trust the internet. I like to wheel and deal my own wheels. That's how you make way more, Sav.
Okay, so where's your car now, Doff?
Potential buyers took it for a test drive.
When did they take it for a test drive, Doff?
3 days ago.
Should have sold it to We Buy Cars, Doff.
Yeah, Savvy.
Don't be doff, be savvy. We Buy Cars, geared for a fast, safe sale, geared for you.
Are your nails discolored, brittle, crumbly, or appear ragged? Are they thickened or starting to lift off the nail bed? You may have a fungal nail infection, which can lead to discomfort, limit your activities, and have a negative impact on your social life because of the embarrassment. New Turbane Nail treats fungal nail infections by directly killing the fungus. It requires no filing before application and dries in about 30 seconds once applied. Ask your pharmacist about New Turbane Nail and say goodbye to fungal nail infections.
What happens when investment is driven by purpose? You build a legacy that lasts 30 years and counting. The Mine Workers Investment Company marks 3 decades of empowering mine workers and their families through smart, sustainable investment. Catch the Clement Mangatela Show in conversation with the MIC this week on 702. Find out how the 100% black-owned investment holding company has grown long-term cash-generative assets that fund education, social upliftment, and black business development across SA. That's the Clement Mangatela Show in conversation with the Mine Workers Investment Company this week on 702.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 18 minutes past 4. Well, the Kruger Park is not just a vital asset of our countries to people who like visiting there, to people who have work either in or around the park. It's a crucial part of the South African tourist offering. So I think it's fair to say that anything that happens that causes any significant financial or physical damage to one of the jewels in our tourism crown has implications for all of us, because if people say, well, you know, we were going to go to the Kruger Park and we can't go anymore, we can't go where we wanted to, whatever it might be, that may make them make other decisions. Well, maybe we'll go to Kenya. We won't come to South Africa at all. I'm probably stating the point too simplistically, but what I am trying to say is the next conversation is significant for all of us, whether you're a lover of the bush or not. Now, the Kruger Park has suffered massive damage during the recent floods. The Sandparks is talking about losses and damage running into hundreds of millions of rands. Staff villages and tourist accommodation in some places has been destroyed. Bridges, roads, water, electrical systems have been hit hard as well. Some camps have been closed. 15 of them are currently shut, which I can tell you is a good number. The north and the south of the park, to all intents and purposes, are cut off from each other. And crucially, listen to these numbers. Some 41,000 people who were going to come are actually unable to gain entry. So there's a short-term problem, and then there's a longer-term rebuilding. Let's focus on both. And welcome to 702 Drive, Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, Willie Okamp. Minister, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. Do we have a number yet on the damage, and do we know where that money for fixing things is going to come from? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John, and thanks for having me. John, first just to confirm what you said, the damage in the Kruger National Park is really extensive. We have seen floods 3 years ago. We haven't properly recovered from them. Bridges that were washed away was not completed yet, and now we had these floods again now. The total estimates currently stand at around about 700 million rand. Now, that is estimates. There are several bridges, low water bridges and roads that we could still not access due to the rain that hasn't, or the water levels that hasn't subsided enough there. So it might increase, but these are the estimates that we've got now. The money must come from somewhere. Now, it's very important that our listeners understand that Sandparks is a entity that is, although it's government owned, it must be running on its own. It creates and generates 80% of its income from its own income streams. So it is not a government-funded thing. They fund themselves, and in the whole Sandparks group, Kruger National Park is the flagship. It's bringing in the biggest amount of money. So you can just imagine if you do not get income from several thousand of guests that would have come in and pay, then it will have a ripple effect not only on Kruger but on the whole of Sandpark. So we need to get in money from other sources as well. And in my department, I've already asked that they look at reprioritizing funds from different segments of the department so that we can assist in funding Kruger National Park. And then we've also established the Kruger Recovery Fund, which will be administered by 3 auditing firms to ensure that every single cent that we collect by the Kruger Recovery Fund will be accounted for and must go for the rebuilding of Kruger.
So we've got that as a problem there, and as long as, for example, you're unable to rebuild a camp like Letaba, for example, those are bed nights from which you don't generate income, and if you don't generate income, you don't have money for rebuilding. So it really is an extremely vicious cycle. In terms of getting Kruger back to a state where you might have full occupancy, is there a timeline on that, or is it just way too early to say, given that we're still in the rainy season?
It's difficult to give a timeline. So what the approach is that we must open up as many camps as soon as possible. And in that regard, I'm glad to announce that the power, for example, to Mopani Rest Camp that's in the northern part has been restored yesterday, and we are aiming for that camp to be opened on the 30th. The Satara Rest Camp has been reopened, so they are going on. Punda Maria and Pafuri camps that's way in the north, that has been reopened. So with regards to timelines, we are opening up as much as we can, obviously on the condition of safety to guests and employees. That is the main question. So as the rain has now subsided and water has subsided, we will be able to do certain things quicker.
Yes.
Camps like Letaba will take time, and rebuilding those bridges that washed away, it will take time. But Kruger National Park has got alternatives in place. At places where bridges washed away, we will build small alternative roads, as was the case between the road between Skukuza and Lower Sabi, where 3 bridges washed away during the previous floods.
Yeah, I mean, if you just to share with listeners the numbers, so Mopani is about to open. That's 500 guests. That is good news. Letaba is not open. That's 736 to 740 guests. That's a sense of the scale of the problem. Minister, I want to step back from the immediate problem in the economics and ask you this. I'm sure in the conversations there are economists and auditors, but there are, I'm sure, ecologists and climatologists as well. As you rebuild, is there a conversation that is saying, well, we can't rebuild exactly where and what we had? And if that is part of the conversation, what are some of the key themes emerging?
John, you are 100% correct. Climate change is a reality. Anybody that disputes that must just go and have a look at the severity and the frequency of the floods that we had in the last 10 years. They must go and have a look at the severity and see the events of wildfires that we had. So it's a reality, and we've got to deal with that. If we are now going to rebuild a bridge, and we build it in exactly the same way as it was designed 50, 60 years ago, we will have the same problems when the next flood comes in 2-3 years' time from now. So it will be re-engineered. That was actually the case with the 3 bridges between Lower Sabi and Skukuza. we were in the process of rebuilding them when these floods now came. So it will be re-engineered so that it can withstand the effects of climate change, so that it's better equipped to, if we get a flood in 2 years or 3 years' time, hopefully not, but if we get that those bridges and roads will be sustainable, they will be long-lasting, and they will be able to withstand the threats of all these floods that we have.
Yeah, and I suppose you can't very well say, okay, we're going to move Letaba away from the Letaba River, because firstly, that's a major reason why people go there. I've stayed there many times. It's a gorgeous thing, but you also get more money for houses with river view. So we're back to the economics. It's always going to be a delicate balance, isn't it?
It is going to be a delicate balance, and you've got the asset like Letaba there. To move a camp like that would be extremely expensive, and you've already got the footprint there. So now you move a camp, you leave that footprint there, the rehabilitation would take many, many years. So we will have to look at what we can do. Do we need to build certain walls that will direct water?
Yes.
Should we maybe raise some of the chalets? It's a lot of things that they must look at. The bottom line is that it's going to take a lot of money, and it's going to take time. And as you rightly said, we will lose the income from a Letaba camp, for example, for many, well, at least 1-2 years before it's going to be up and running again. I can just also mention, John, that Olifant's Rest Camp, although it's higher up, that rest camp is currently still closed due to the fact that it doesn't have power. So it's not only the damage that's visible on roads and bridges, but it's also power lines and water pumps that's been damaged. And as soon as the water and the electricity has been restored to Olifant, that will also open.
Thank you so much, Willie Okamp, Minister Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. You have a Kruger booking. Maybe you booked to go to Letaba, a favorite place of yours. It's underwater. It's very sad, but hopefully the rebuild will see some improvements.
EWN Business.
Stephen Kreutz, a very good afternoon to you, boy.
Wow, John, good afternoon.
Past 5,000 as you predicted, eh?
Indeed. So, gold's past 5,000, was actually past $5,110 about 2 hours ago. Slipped back since then. The JSE's at record highs today, partly as a result. The Rand's gone past 16 Rand to the dollar. So it is the most extraordinary day that certainly I can remember. So the JSE All Share up 1.38%, 123,972, John. Financials down 0.19, Industrials down 0.11, Resources up 4.15%. I must just point out, we're right to focus on gold. $5,000 is an astonishing milestone. We'll have a big conversation about it on the Money Show later. But platinum's also passed $2,800. In real terms, in terms of the money we get into the fiscus, platinum might actually, in the end, get us more money than gold, despite the extraordinary change in the pricing. So gold going past $5,000 today. We all know the reasons: geopolitical tensions, central banks buying more gold, concerns about the value of the dollar, all of that. And then, of course, in the short term, I'm sure it was Greenland what done it. So that's the main story today. Coming into that, Pan-African Resources, they had an update. They increased their gold production by over 50% in the first half of the financial year. They expect to continue those improvements into the second half. Higher gold prices, John, also mean that for the first time in their history, they're looking at paying an interim dividend, and they intend to repay all of their debt by the end of February. Now, you can imagine what happens after that. Now you have a lot more money after February, and what do? Do you give it to shareholders, or do you invest in more gold production for the longer term? That said, 91 are up nearly 10%. They're up 9 2/3% today. ASP Isotopes, they're up 7.58. Karoo's up 6.38. And then the platinum miners, Valterra's up nearly 6%. Northam's up over 5. Goldfields up nearly 5. Implats is up 4.53. Cashbill today saying that their revenue for the second quarter is up by only 1%. Their revenue for their existing stores was down by 2%. Their 15 new stores then contributed 3 percentage points of growth. So quite a strange sort of reading there. Sasol is down 3%, but Vest down 2.5%, Tungela down 2.4%. Some of the financial shares, so Nedbank is down 2.13%, Capitec is down 1.19%. And then, John, interesting that Mr. Price is down again, 1.55%. I think they were having a webinar, it might even have been this morning, just to explain their decision to buy the NKD retailer. I mean, shareholders are almost in open revolt about it, and there's very little they can do, but still very, very frustrated. Wall Street expected to kind of open roughly where it is. Now, there's quite a set of earnings coming through, and then everyone's waiting for the U.S. Federal Reserve and the Monetary Policy Committee to make a decision about interest rates later in the week, and I think that's going to essentially make things quite tricky. There's so much politics involved in that of course that's having a big impact. In the gold price at the moment slipped back a little bit, but $5,067.42. Platinum $2,814.70. The one negative on the horizon, John, is that Brent crude's at $65.53. Now, a stronger rand doesn't matter quite so much, but still, let's just keep an eye on that. The rand to the dollar 16.05, to the euro 19.03, to the British pound 21.93. All going on. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. To Maki Molapo now for the very latest Eyewitness News. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. We begin in the courts where a teenager has confessed to being linked to a deadly mass shooting in Philippi East in the Western Cape that claimed 9 lives a week ago. Police believe Beki Manqinwa is one of 3 gunmen who shot and killed the victims at a tavern in Marikana informal settlements. Manqinwa made his first appearance in the Athlone Magistrates Court today. The 19-year-old was arrested in Zweletemba Township in Worcester on Friday. Police believe the attack was an extortion hit. Western Cape NPA spokesperson Eric Ntabazalila says the accused is linked to the crime through confessions he made to several state witnesses.
The case has been postponed until the 2nd of February 2026 for a full bail profile and further investigation. This is a Schedule 6 matter, meaning the onus is on the accused to show to the court that it's in the interest of justice for him to be released on bail. The state will oppose his bail application.
Staying in the Western Cape courts, the high-profile trial of alleged underworld gang boss Nafees Modak and 14 others was postponed again due to one of the defense attorneys being ill. Modak was due back in the witness stand today after making a brief appearance a week ago. He faces 122 charges and is on trial with 14 others for various crimes related to allegedly operating a criminal enterprise. Carla Peterson has more.
Nafees Modak's lawyer, Advocate Bashir Sibdo, was due to re-examine his client today after the state closed its case against the alleged underworld gang boss in November last year. However, the matter was postponed for a second time after the court heard defense attorney Advocate Pauline Andrews was ill and being treated in hospital. Presiding Judge Robert Henney postponed proceedings as Andrews' client Amal Janchis is linked to some of the charges Modak faces. The court says Andrews needs to be present to defend Janchis in case anything incriminating is said during Modak's re-examination. The matter will be back in court on the 13th of February. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
City of Tshwane officials have closed ranks amid a public spat with the Correctional Services Department over unpaid electricity bills. The city and the department have been engaged in a heated exchange on social media since last week after an attempt to switch the lights off at Kgosi Mampuru and Bavianspoort correctional facilities. Tshwane says the facilities' municipal accounts were in arrears when the city mayor, Nasi P. Moya, joined municipal officials to disconnect the electricity. Although the electricity was ultimately not disconnected, the Correctional Services Department has hit out at the city's intentions, claiming it flies in the face of intergovernmental relations. The department also slammed the city for what it labelled as inaccurate billing information and poor administrative processes. City spokesperson Lindela Mashiko says the city stands by its position.
Our records confirm that these accounts remain significantly outstanding following a prolonged period of non-payment, and this was the basis for the site visits. During these engagements, officials did not dispute the city's billing records. Instead, they indicated that they were not fully aware of the outstanding amounts and committed to engaging the Department of Public Works to resolve the matter.
And firefighting operations are underway in the mountains above Franschhoek in the Western Cape. The wildfires have been burning for more than a week, and while most of the fire lines have been contained, one remains active at the top of the Banghoek Valley. The Cape Winelands District Municipality's Joanne Otto says 2 ground teams were deployed there yesterday afternoon as flames moved to more accessible terrain.
During the next operational period, teams will focus on protecting the Banghoek Valley, and the terrain, however, remains extremely steep and dangerous, presenting significant operational challenges with absolutely no guarantee of success.
Otto explains how aerial resources are being used.
An aerial crew from Leading Edge will transport ground teams from NCC, Cape Nature, and the MTO Forestry into the area today. A reconnaissance flight will also be conducted during this deployment to determine the full extent of the fire line.
A fire line on the Overberg side is being managed by Overberg District Fire Services. Look at your weather. A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng with afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures will both drop to overnight lows between 16 and 18 degrees and peak at highs of 32 and 33 degrees.
Centurion accident seen on the N1 northbound before Boerta Avenue. This is causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from the N14 Brakfontein interchange. Also bumper traffic in the Protea Glen area. This is on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558.
The top story in Eyewitness News: a teenager has confessed to being linked to a deadly mass shooting in Philippi East in the Western Cape that claimed 9 lives a week ago.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
We've premised our entire approach on believing that the rules-based international order is what it claims to be. And yet consistently we have seen that it is something that's applicable only to some, as Mark Carney says. And one of the points he made was, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
The president outlined exactly similar issues that Mark Carney outlined.
Why is it then that when Mark Carney says it, people listen, and when our president says it, they don't?
Maybe it's because we're Africans.
Minister Ronald Lamola.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Hollywood Bets. Their spokesperson, Mpumelelo Lembede, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Is your skin itchy, flaky, red or discolored? You may have a fungal skin infection. Turbane treats a variety of fungal skin infections like skin thrush, a red and itchy rash with small pimples, usually in damp skin areas. Ringworm, a ring-shaped, sometimes itchy rash. Athlete's foot, itchy, red, discolored or peeling skin on your feet or toes. And jock itch. Turbane kills skin fungus, and you only need to use the cream once or twice daily for 1 week compared to other 4-week treatments. Ask your pharmacist about Turbane cream and say goodbye to fungal skin infections.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Daddy John, on Brakpan. Yay, don't come, guys. Don't come, please. We love our N17. We love our malls. There's no issues. We love our roads, immaculate. Hey, don't come. Our land is cheap. Guys, don't come. Yo.
Something of a mixed message. Our land is cheap, don't come. We love our roads and malls, don't come. Maybe what he's saying, we're doing well. We don't need you. Do not show up, please, at that time. 20 minutes to 5. This is 702 Drive. Let's get the very latest from the world of sport. Tolakele Mganga.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, very good afternoon once again.
Thanks so much, John. Manchester United's push for a UEFA Champions League spot has received a boost after they beat Arsenal 3-2 in the Premier League. That win moves United into fourth place as interim head coach Michael Carrick achieves back-to-back wins over the league's top two following Derby's success over Manchester City.
Listen, I'm not getting carried away. We've got some bigger games coming up because every next game's the bigger game. So we're not getting carried away, you know. We've got really important things coming up that we need to kind of keep improving with. So 2 massive games. There's a lot of emotion and a lot of energy and a lot of confidence that you can take from that, but be humble and understand how we've got these results is really important moving forward.
The Betway Premiership title race has gotten tighter after Orlando Pirates dropped points to Skukune United, having played out a goalless draw. The Buccaneers have now pulled level with reigning champions Mamelodi Sundowns at the top of the table, but Adeslam Adu's side have a game in hand.
What we can do is to keep working, to believe on what we are doing, because I think my players did a fantastic game. Now we have maybe to focus more in the last third, in the last pass, the assist, in order to definitely to score and to get points. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried about the next games.
Johnny Bairstow has talked up the SA20 following successful campaign for the Sunrisers Eastern Cape. He played a key role while opening the batting with Quinton de Kock, and yesterday they won a third title in 4 years following a 6-wicket win over the Pretoria Capitals.
I think there's two ways of looking at that. I think that you can maybe have more teams, but with more teams you condense the talent, and the quality of the competition that is running at the moment is why people want to come and play in it. So I don't necessarily think that you need to do too much, because whatever's is happening at the moment is working. So just keep rolling with what's happening, I think.
Iga Swiatek ended Australian hopes at Melbourne Park after beating qualifier Madison Inglis 6-love and 6-3 to reach the quarterfinals as she continues her quest for a maiden Australian Open title to complete a career Grand Slam. Having fired off 22 winners, Swiatek will next face 2022 Wimbledon winner Elena Rybakina.
It doesn't make sense to overanalyze who won the last ones or how it has been looking, Every match is a different story, and on every match she's been a tough opponent, and her tennis for sure is great, so I need to be 100% ready and go for it, and use my experience and also the knowledge from previous matches, and that's it.
An Australian, Jay Vine, won the Tour Down Under despite being knocked off his bike in a crash that was caused by a kangaroo. The kangaroo ran across the road with under 100 kilometers of the race to go and launched itself into the peloton, knocking several riders to the ground before tumbling into more who were trying to avoid it. Vine was one of those knocked down and managed to get up before going on to use a teammate's bike to claim the overall winner's jersey by 1 minute and 3 seconds. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
17 minutes to 5. We had problems out in Centurion. I believe there's been an accident there. Karabo Charlie with the details.
Yeah, I'm afraid that accident scene causing more than an hour delay. That's if you're heading towards Linwood, leaving Centurion on the N1 northbound. That accident scene just before Botha Avenue, and you can expect delays all the way from the N14 Brakfontein interchange. In Boksburg, Benoni, we have bumper-to-bumper traffic on Atlas Road. This is approaching the N12. Also in Boksburg, heading towards East Rand Mall, you can expect heavy delays. This is on the R21 southbound. That's the Rietfontein Road between Griffiths and the N12, so avoid that route or allow for extra traveling time. Edenville, also bumper-to-bumper traffic. N12 westbound between Macro Store and the Kilulis interchange in Protea Glen. Traffic remains heavily backed up. This is on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
I'm sure you guys have heard at 4:45 of Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law is if anything can go wrong, it will. I was wondering if people have some of their own laws, like equivalent to Murphy's Law, but based on your own experiences. I mean, some of them, for example, are kind of reflective of life, really. If you don't like braai smoke, don't worry, it'll always find you. You don't have to go looking for it. smoke from a braai will always find you if it's something that absolutely bothers you. So I was thinking the other on Sunday, in fact, because something happened to me that happens to me all the time. So this is Perlman's law of slow driving. If you are going down a road and either you come up behind someone who's driving very slowly, or maybe somebody, when there's no need to, because there's not a lot of traffic, pulls out in front of you, forcing you to slow down, and then they go very slowly and you cruise behind them. So that's just a fact of life. But this is where Perlman's law kicks in. That person will always be the last car through the traffic light that leaves you standing at the red. And they will go at their slowest as the light goes, the little red man flashes, so it's about to, and then it goes orange, and they'll pause on the orange, and then they'll go through on the red. So I think, according to Perlman's law of slow driving, that will happen probably 97% of the time. So what I want to know is, do you have any other laws and they don't have to be scientifically proven, because as you can hear, mine absolutely isn't. But I'm really keen to know, do you have any other, like Charlie's law of that captures a little slice of life? Give it some thought, Karabo, while I ask Tolakele the same question. The Mganga immutable law of what? Do you have it?
I have two.
Okay.
One is related to driving. That car that's driving in front of you very slowly, by the time you overtake them, you realize that their brights are on.
Yes.
And that's just going to irritate you even more. And then the other one is when you're on your last 100 Rand and you really want to order fast food, your electricity units will go out to force you to be an adult. Always.
Oh my goodness.
Always.
So you're down to your last 100, you absolutely want the burger special, whatever it might be, and then suddenly...
You just see the red light and
Yeah.
you're like, I do need the electricity. I
You
don't need the
definitely-
burger.
But the burger would be nice.
John, it won't help if I'm in the dark the next day.
Well,
But
yeah,
at least your tummy will be full.
You may have to wear an apron if you're wearing something nice. But yeah, hard choices. Okay, so we've got two more laws.
I can't think of one, eh?
Yeah.
Actually, two. Yeah, like, do you guys live like that? You have laws?
Okay.
Honestly, can't think of any.
Okay. I thought Karabo Charlie was putting her hand up to say she's got an idea. She's saying, nope, time is not our friend. 702 Drive.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings.
4 to 6.
The minister, Andrew Motshekga, announcing a board of inquiry to find out why. And our reports over this past weekend that, in fact, there would have been instructions from the commander-in-chief as early as November last year, warning about the inclusion of Iran, that seemingly the National Defense Force ignored. How is that possible?
The military cannot even debate whether or not to perform a particular exercise once a decision has been taken by the president. That's one principle that we should adhere to as a democratic state.
Dr. Kinsley Makobela.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Get your brain in the game, because the brain of 702 is back with your chance to flex your general knowledge smarts. There's 3,000 Rand up for grabs every day, and Brain of the Week wins 10,000 Rand, plus a spot in the finals to compete for the grand prize, 30,000 Rand cash. Enter on primemediaplus.com. Do it now, and then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, for your chance to be the brain of 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
Do you suffer from migraines? Have you been previously diagnosed by a doctor and treated for migraine? Ask your pharmacist about previously prescribed migraine treatments that are now available without prescription. Brought to you by Sandoz.
This message is brought to you by Eskom, redefining for a better future.
Hey South Africa, want to keep your lights on and save money? Let's use electricity wisely. It's easier than you think. Switch off lights when you leave a room, unplug chargers and appliances, and use energy-saving bulbs. They last longer and use less power. Every little bit helps for your home, your wallet, and our planet.
Let's make it a habit and use electricity wisely. Eskom.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Couple of you sharing your laws. Peter says Peter's law. Something lost is always in the last place you look, because only an idiot carries on looking after it's been found. Peter, thank you for that. Keep those coming, please. It's 10 to 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Right, let's focus our attention now on this. Massive rugby in South Africa this year. England come on the 4th of July. That's going to be a terrific game. 3 tests against the All Blacks, 2 in Joburg, 1 in Cape Town. That's a fabulous series and evocative of an older time when those kinds of multi-test series were played. But then there's something of a strange one, certainly to my mind at least, a 4th test. I was absolutely sure this would be played at a venue like Twickenham, possibly the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. Nope, it's going to the United States. Now, the Springboks have played in the US before 2018. We played Wales. I think it was Rassie Erasmus's first game, or one of his very first second-string squad came away losing 22-20. But good things, as you know, followed after that. This year's game is going to be in Baltimore. Now, I've no idea why Baltimore was chosen, and I have no idea either as to what kind of appetite there is in the United States for a match between the 2 best rugby teams in the world. All Blacks have tried it before. They took on Ireland in Chicago, and by all accounts, there was a nice big crowd. The stadium in Baltimore, home of the Baltimore Ravens, holds 71,000 people, so there are a lot of seats to be filled. But let's get some sense of what's going on in the US that made this the venue of choice. Michael Goldman is Professor of Sport Management and Associate Dean of Graduate Programs at the University of San Francisco. Also does regular work here in South Africa at the Gordon Institute of Business Science. Prof, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. If the game is to be, or if the stadium is to be full, who's going to be sitting there? Are there lots of Americans who want to watch the very best of rugby?
Good afternoon, John. Yes, it certainly is on the rise. America has big ambitions for rugby. And so we've seen at the college level, in sevens, we've seen Major League Rugby. And of course, we've seen these incoming, more exhibition-focused tours. So there certainly is lots of interest. I suspect, as with the cricket tournaments that have recently hosted and other rugby events, that there'll be a good mixture of those of us that sound a little bit different, the expat community and the local rugby community that is growing constantly within the US. They have intents, as you know, for the Rugby World Cup as we head past 2030. And so certainly I think it's a great opportunity for the Springboks and the All Blacks to think about their international brand, to think about fan development in the US, and serve some of their fans in this market.
So, any idea of why Baltimore? I mean, in South Africa, there's, as I understand it, a bidding process. People step forward and say, listen, this is what we'll pay to host the July 4 game against England, or whatever it is. Would it have been competitive? I mean, why Baltimore? Have you heard any talk?
I haven't heard specific talk, but it's typically less of a competitive kind of South African amateur kind of system, amateur in the sense of everyone competing in some kind of way. This is what's the best venue for that event, and the organizers, the agency essentially, and it seems to be a travel sport focused agency, would be looking for the best kind of space for this. Of course, in the East Coast, you have, as you know, many more states close together. You have many more people close together, and you have a really strong rugby community with some great universities and colleges around there playing. So it's a good market for rugby, as is the Texas environment and the California environment. And so I think those are the 3 big spaces, if you think about the US, the East Coast, the West Coast, and Texas, that would be the hotbeds of potential rugby fans. And so it makes sense that you're picking a big NFL type stadium for these kinds of events, in the same way that you've seen the FIFA World Cup pick those kinds of stadiums for the upcoming tournament this summer.
Yeah, I mean, the M&T Bank Stadium, I'm just looking at pictures, certainly looks very, very impressive indeed. As I said, the capacity is massive, 71,000. Let's go back a little bit, though, to where we started, Prof, and talk about the roots. Who's playing rugby in the US? I'm asking you to generalize. Are these young people who don't want to play American sports? What is it?
There certainly has been a shift, John, over the last decade or so, a little bit away from American football. There's been certainly concerns about concussions, concerns about the nature of the game. And as we've seen high school populations decline, the whole demographic cliff and the shift in demographics here, we've had high schools that have not been able to field an American football team. So there's been a bit of a shift that's been happening, and rugby's been one of the beneficiaries, along with lacrosse and other sports, of the shift away from American football. It's certainly not going away, but there's been a bit of a shift. I think similarly, there's been great development programs, and John, you know well, the importance of getting young boys and girls to be playing these sports. And so rugby has done an excellent job over decades of development programs, after school programs, especially sevens, and especially boys and girls. And so just here in the La Marinda area in the East Bay of San Francisco, you've got a number of clubs where kids can compete from early on. That then moves into school level teams and then these colleges. So, some years ago, already the Division 1A college level, university level tournament was at a very high level and was attracting some really good South Africans to come and play here, for example, at the university level, something that we've seen in other sports for many, many years. And then that has developed, as you know, over the last few years into Major League Rugby, into a sevens tour that happens domestically around the US, and then into Team USA. So that development program heading into the Olympics, you've now got a path for many young Americans to do this, and then you've got the expats to support in the background.
So, I mean, when sports started trying to spread from where they were best known and played before, there are icons who lead that. So, I mean, to give an extreme example, you would have Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls going to Paris and the city literally stopping dead. I'm not for a minute suggesting Sia Kolisi and Cheslin Colby and Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu, and I don't need to name more, have that kind of star power. Nevertheless, do these become little building blocks where young people who are getting into rugby and saying, you know what, this is the game for me, are obviously going online, maybe they're streaming live games, would having the Springboks and the All Blacks in town, probably with the Springboks preeminent out of those two because we're world champs, does that start making a difference where young kids say, please, can we go to Baltimore? I want to see Cheslin.
I think it certainly makes a difference in the opportunity for development-focused activities around the game.
Right.
And my hope is that both teams take up that opportunity, get into the schools, get into the communities, and show kids what great rugby looks like. I think what's been different with rugby versus what you've seen with soccer, for example, where it has been the international superstars that have come over and Lionel Messi led the charge in Major League Soccer. In rugby, it's been the homegrown heroes.
Right.
And so those Americans that have come through the system, have done really well at college and have performed really well for Team USA, that national patriotism is what has driven a lot of the interest here. And so it's less been in international names. I think for the game in September, it's about those development programs. It's about the media property that they build around this, the social media outreach, and the involvement of local clubs and schools that are able to participate and attend this kind of game in September.
Thank you so much. Really interesting stuff indeed. By the way, if you're listening in the US, or perhaps you have some knowledge or experience of rugby in the United States, I know when I've visited there and either encouraged people to watch the game, we've streamed a couple of games with family members or just told them how the game is played. No pads, no helmets. And yeah, it would seem much less concussion than in American football. But that was Michael Goldman, Professor of Sports Management and an Associate Dean at the graduate programs at the University of San Francisco. 702 Drive.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Why then, when you went to the Koshimampuru, you didn't switch off? Because what preceded your visit there was the emails, was the calls, was all that communication. So why didn't you switch off?
Let me tell you the configuration of the department. The premises is owned by Public Works, and Prison Services uses the facility that is owned by Public Works, but they've got the responsibility to pay electricity, water, and rates. And in this instance, public works didn't play its part, and we realized that perhaps let's give them an opportunity to discuss that internally so that when we come back, they have already settled the matter. But they owe us.
Eugene Modise, who is the deputy mayor of Tshwane.
Clements Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
Municipal services are vital to keeping the city safe, clean and functional. By paying for municipal services such as your water bill, you're investing in Joburg's water supply. Paying for your services is not just a transaction. It is a commitment to your community's sustainability. Help pave the way for a brighter tomorrow, one payment at a time. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water utility that cares.
The festive rush doesn't wait. Orders, deliveries, messages, calls. This summer, you'll need connectivity that doesn't tap out when the pressure is on. With Telkom Business, you get reliable, high-speed connectivity for just $2.99 per month. That's our unlimited LTE, all hours basic plan, 10 megabytes per second. No caps, no excuses.
This summer, your business deserves the best. Visit telkom.co.za/business for deals that grow your business. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
And the award for the spiciest stunt performed in a bowl goes to Tom Yum Cruise.
Thank you everyone. Wow, what an honor. I'd like to thank the chilies, the lemongrass, and of course, Simply Asia, for believing in my flavor.
It's the summer of stars at Simply Asia. Stand a chance to win a Toyota Starlet when you spend 200 Rand or more on our famous flavors. Order now. Simply Asia, connecting the Thaiway.
This is EWN.
Strong warning for Sintieko farming communities to evacuate, and Nkabinde inquiry hits brick wall. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. We begin in Mpumalanga, where the Water and Sanitation Department says the potential danger of an imminent collapse of the Sintieko Dam is limited to farming communities closer to the dam. Today, the department and the city of Mbombela issued a joint urgent evacuation notice for residents living downstream the dam. This comes after the department's urgent public alert warning about structural concerns at the dam last week. It's understood that the dam's spillway slab has suffered significant damage, risking a structural breach that could severely affect its downstream area due to the impact of the recent heavy rains in the region. The department says failure of the dam may occur without further warning. We move to the capital, where an SAPS intelligence operative says Police Minister Senzo Mchunu tried to coerce him to testify favorably when he appears before the Madlanga Commission. The operative, referred to as Witness E, is currently under witness protection and has been testifying partially in camera today. The Madlanga Commission was established last year to look into allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi of possible crime infiltration in the country's law enforcement agencies. Thabiso Goba has more.
Witness E says his first contacts with Police Minister Senzo Mchunu came in December 2024. He says the minister had called him requesting information about the assassination of former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Magaqa. Witness E says the calls from the minister became so persistent, he even thought about blocking his number. He says these calls continued when the Madlanga Commission was established.
Mr. Mchunu consistently phones me and the numbers of calls are skyrocketing. He is trying to coerce me to testify at the Madlanga Commission in a manner favorable to him.
Asked for details of this alleged coercion, Witness E says Mchunu wanted him to go to the commission and say it was not the political killings tasked him that should be credited with securing conviction of Magaqa's killer. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, evidence leaders in the Nkabinde inquiry say they're experiencing challenges with all the witnesses they had lined up to testify on former KwaZulu-Natal Hawks boss Johan Boysen and his Kato Manor unit. The inquiry has spent the day discussing outgoing NPA boss Shamila Batoy's refusal to continue testifying without legal advice. Batoy abandoned her testimony in December as a cross-examination by Advocate Andrew Chauke's lawyers intensified. The inquiry is investigating Chauke's fitness to hold office after Batoy accused him of making politically motivated prosecutorial decisions. Khomotso Modise has more.
Advocate Shamila Batoi's refusal to testify without legal advice has caused major delays in the Nkabinde inquiry, as evidence leaders have told the presiding panel that the way forward hinges on whether she's able to consult. But on top of this, evidence leader Advocate Tembas Kosana has added to the inquiry's woes.
The Katomena unit, as well as Major General Poison, witnesses will be testifying in relation to that, in particular. That aspect, we have experienced difficulties and will explain in the affidavit.
In an attempt to avoid delays, the panel has asked evidence leaders why they cannot continue with the witnesses who are going to testify on former intelligence head Richard Mdluli's murder case and Chauke's decision not to prosecute him. But the evidence leaders are insisting on a week-long break as Batoi's legal advice bid plays out. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
The asbestos corruption trial against former Free State Premier Ace Magashule and 16 others has again been put on ice following another postponement in the matter. Magashule and his co-accused appeared in the Bloemfontein High Court today for the continuation of the main trial after a lengthy delay last year. But the court has pushed the matter to March this year. This comes after the Constitutional Court last week agreed that Magashule's former PA, Moradi Cholota's extradition from the United States was unlawful, but set aside the decision by the Free State High Court not to prosecute her. Nogukanyam Dambo has more.
Last week, the Constitutional Court sent the matter back to the Free State High Court for other matters in Moradi Cholota's special plea to be continued. The state in the asbestos case already expected that the Apex Court's decision would mean a delay in the main trial, which was paused in April last year. Judge Philip Loubser ruled on the matter today.
Accused number 17's legal representatives are to submit heads of argument in the trial within a trial having regard to the judgment of the Constitutional Court on 28 January. The state, if they want to respond, must do so by the end of business on Monday, the 2nd February. The oral arguments in respect of the trial within a trial will be heard on 3rd February.
Loubser says the judgment in the trial within a trial is expected to be handed down on February 18th. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
And some scholar transport vehicles contracted by the Gauteng Education Department have been discontinued in Katlehong and Ekurhuleni. The affected vehicles were found to have more than 3 defects, rendering them unroadworthy. During inspections by department officials and National Traffic Police today in 4 schools, some vehicles, both private and those from the Education Department, were found to be non-compliant. Officials conducted inspections at the Ntutuko and Zibuko primary schools and the Lutukutula and Fumana Secondary School today. Department spokesperson Lisi Bampia.
There's also an infringement notice where there are more than 3 defects that have been found on the vehicles. There's also violations that were served through our e-force notices, but the violations are really ranging from overloading and driving vehicles that shouldn't be on our roads.
Gold's trading at $5,092 an ounce. The rand's at 15.98 to the dollar, at 21.88 to the pound, at 18.97 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $65.55 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're leaving Kempton Park or Tambo International Airport heading towards Boksburg, East Rand Mall, you can expect about a 30-minute delay. This is on the R21 southbound Rietfontein Road between Griffiths and the N12 in Centurion. Accident scene, N1 northbound before Boeta Avenue, still causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from the N14 Brakfontein interchange.
In US sport, attention for South African cricketers switches to the T20 World Cup. Don Bradman's baggy green cap sets record fee at auction. And Adeslam Odu confident that depth and collective defending will offset Mbegezeli Mbogazi's departure. I look at your weather. A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng with afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. Joburg and Vereeniging will both drop to overnight lows of 16 degrees and peak at highs of 32. Pretoria is at 18 and 33 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The Water and Sanitation Department says the potential danger of an imminent collapse of the Sintieko Dam is limited to farming communities closer to the dam.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 10 minutes past 5. Good to have you with us on the show at the start of a new week. I hope your week has started as well as the Joburg Stock Exchange has started the week, as well as the Rand and the gold price have started the week. Well, even if you're not rocketing to great highs, I hope at least it's been a decent day. Got some good stuff coming up for you in a moment. My colleague Tabiso Gorba from EWN is going to join us. Very interesting stuff today indeed at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. You got a witness who is saying the Minister of Police kept getting in touch with me looking to influence my evidence. I'd say that's surprising. I would say that's something of a revelation. Tabiso will have the details in a moment. And then we're going to focus our attention on Mpumalanga, hard hit by floods and rain and all the damage that has caused. Add to that what you just heard a moment ago from Maki Molapo about the Sintieko Dam, which is on the point of collapse. We're going to talk to the Department of Water Affairs and get some kind of clarity on privately owned dams, who inspects them, what are the guidelines. There's a few questions I suspect that are going to be asked and hopefully answered. We'll do that at 20 past 5. I did ask you if you had any kind of law, similar to Murphy's Law. Mine was Perlman's Law of slow vehicles, if you missed it. If they're in front of you, they will go slowly, but they'll go particularly slowly at the traffic light as they approach the light, and they'll just get through on the red as the red begins, always leaving you standing, waiting for the light to change. Here's Tsulu's law. If I want it to rain, I wash my car. Here's Bruce's law of garden hoses. If there's anything your hose can possibly hook on, it will. Keep those coming, please, on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Hi, John. Regarding the laws, have you guys heard of Cole's law? It's sliced cabbage. Enjoy the day. Colin from Alberton. Ciao. Bye.
John, my rule. I'm an academic. So my rule for my students and colleagues says, Lombard's rule of understanding, number 1. Lombard is always wrong. That has the advantage that my students may only refer to my work if they disagree with me. Nice and productive, keeps the students creative.
Hi John, it's Matt from Midrand. I have 2 laws. The first one is it's nicer wearing someone else's shoes or jacket, and once you have your own, you buy the same product, it's just not as nice. And then the second one is once you buy 2 of the same thing, there's always one that goes missing. Wild.
Hi John, so listening to the guy talking about rugby coming to the US, all your Ivy League universities have traditionally always played rugby, and a lot of the guys that played rugby at Ivy League universities have played all over the world as well. So it's been traditionally well established. I just think that, also with guys like Joe Rogan on his podcast, they talk about rugby often, really often. He always refers to it as a game played by savages, and I think that also has a lot of appeal. A guy like Joe Rogan putting his stamp of approval on it. This is Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you. Very, very interesting indeed. Lots for me to learn about rugby in the US. By the way, if you missed Professor Michael Goldman, really interesting, detailed and excellent interview, please go to primemediaplus.com. It is, by the way, a place where you can find all sorts of other good stuff. Earlier interviews from various 702 shows. There's stuff from our sister stations, Cape Talk and 947. And there's also unique material that we produce in podcasts. There's Prime Media Sports. There's a whole lot going on. primemediaplus.com. Well worth a visit. 5:15.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. I can't ask you for money, but the latest traffic news, please, Karabo Charlie.
Well, at this stage in Centurion, we're still dealing with that accident scene N1 North before Bertha Avenue, causing about a 30-minute delay. All the way from the N14 Brakfontein interchange in Jet Park. Also expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Boksburg. That's the R21 southbound Rietfontein Road between Griffiths and Eastrand Mall. In Edenville, traveling towards Bedfordview, traffic heavily backed up. This is on the N12 westbound. Between Macro Store and the Giluli's interchange, Protea Glen, traffic remains heavily backed up as well. This is on the N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R558. Southgate, traffic sluggish. This is on the Golden Highway between Chris Hani Road and the N1. Soweto, still slow-moving traffic on Chris Hani Road between the N1 and the UJ campus. And in Parktown, there's traffic pressure on the M1 southbound between Killarney Benz and the Crown interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The OUTsurance Pointsmen can't help you survive the parent group chat, but they can ease the traffic congestion so you make the school run in time and give yourself a parenting award. With the OUTsurance Pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be, quickly and safely in the new year. OUTsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's get the very latest now from the Madlanga Commission back in session after quite a lengthy recess. And the undoubted thing that caught my eye today was the fact that we have another witness testifying anonymously, somebody known to the Commission as Witness E. Let's find out what they had to say, and welcome to our studios, 702's, or EWN rather, EWN's Tabiso Gorba. Tabiso, a very good afternoon to you. Witness E talking about the Minister of Police in certainly not surprising ways, but perhaps a little shocking.
Very shocking, and good afternoon, John. I mean, it's safe to say that today was probably not a good day for Police Minister, the suspended Police Minister, Senzo Mchunu. And there's both witnesses who testified today made a number of allegations, because we call them allegations because Mchunu, remember, he hasn't appeared before the Madlanga Commission to actually answer for himself and provide evidence. So for now, let's just say call them allegations. Both witnesses who testified today have sort of painted a picture of Mchunu sort of allegedly interfering in the work of the police. But I think one of the most serious sort of allegation that came out today is from Witness E. What we know about Witness E, obviously we don't know his identity, but what we do know is that he is a police officer working in the KZN Crime Intelligence Unit.
Right.
And the most damning allegation he made is that the Minister Senzo Mchunu, and people close to him tried to coerce him in terms of his testimony to the Madlanga Commission, even when the Madlanga Commission was established and was actually in the process of happening. He still received calls from one Mr. Senzo Mchunu asking him to, have a certain statement that Mchunu wanted him to project to the Madlanga Commission. He also received calls from Kamokhelo Mokhotsi. Kamokhelo Mokhotsi is the police spokesperson. She still is, but she was hired by Senzo Mchunu as the police spokesperson, so she's very close to Senzo Mchunu. Witness E says she received a call from Kamokhelo Mokhotsi saying that we've prepared a statement for you that we think you should read at the Madlanga Commission. Now, this is very serious, John, because one, it's tampering with witnesses, and two, it's telling a witness to actually make a fabricated story before the Madlanga Commission. So it's a very serious allegation. There was even a recorded call that Witness E recorded between him and the police minister, Senzo Mchunu, where witness E is going through his statement and the police minister is actually listening. Witness E does say that at some point the police minister, Senzo Mchunu, wanted him to tell him his location so that Mchunu can send his lawyers so that they can obviously have the statement and write it out. However, witness E is currently in witness protection and said that I can't give you my location because I'm currently in witness protection. So any kind of communication we're going to have it through the phone.
So Thabiso, where does he fit into things? Clearly, if witness E is telling the truth, this witness had some knowledge or role in the many matters that are finding their way both before the Parliamentary Committee and the Madlanga Commission. Did he have a widespread of knowledge and involvement, or was there something particular that the minister, according to the testimony we've heard today, was trying to either influence or head off in some way?
Well, what we know about witness E is, as I said, he's an intelligence operative, and what he's testified is that he played a very big role in sort of the catching of the people who killed the former ANC Youth League Secretary Cindy Somagaq. Now, what witness E has told us is that part of the obsession, because he said there was a lot of persistent calls from Minister Mchunu, but part of Minister Mchunu's obsession was that Minister Mchunu had a belief that General Dumsani Khumalo, who led the PKTT, the Political Killings Task Team, and then later now he's the head of intelligence, Minister Mchunu was sort of obsessed with trying to link General Khumalo to the murder of Cindy Somagaq. And he also said that there was this slush fund that we've learned about, this intelligence slush fund that the intelligence has, where they can use money sort of at their discretion. There was also these allegations that Mr. Mchunu wanted witness E to sort of give credence to, saying that there was a stolen car and there were firearms that were purchased through this intelligence slush fund that were later used to kill Cindy Somagaq. So what witness E is basically sort of in a rap, what he was saying is that what Mchunu wanted him to do is sort of discredit the Political Killings Task Team when he does appear before the Madlanga Commission and use his knowledge that he has within the intelligence community to actually discredit the PKTT, because we do know that on the 31st of December 2024, Mchunu sort of disbanded or wrote a letter wanting to disband the PKTT. So what witness E has said that, Mchunu wanted to use witness E as a way to discredit the PKTT and discredit General Dumsani Khumalo, who was the head of the PKTT.
Well, the minister, as you said, Thabiso Gorba, yet to appear before the Madlanga Commission, but you would have to say this has been a day in which he has now got some serious issues to address. Thank you very much. More on the Madlanga Commission throughout the week as it unfolds, off to a very significant start. 23 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Well, let's focus our attention now on the Sintieke Dam. It is a dam in the area of Barberton. It is on the De Kaap River, also known as the Little Crocodile, I believe, and that is a tributary of the Crocodile River, which forms the southern border of the Kruger Park, but obviously passes through large parts of Mpumalanga on its way to doing that, and makes its way, I would think, all the way to the Indian Ocean. So, a dam owned by a private farming organization. But how do these dams get built and how do they get checked on? Wally Ramukopa is head of the Specialist Unit for Dam Safety at the Department of Water and Sanitation. Mr. Ramukopa, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. Dams of this nature that are built by farmers groups or perhaps mining companies, any private entity other than the state, what is the system for checking them and making sure that their integrity is as it should be? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners of 702. John, to answer your question, actually any dam that is classified as a dam with a safety risk, that would be a dam more than 5 meters in height and storing more than 50 megaliters. All these dams, they're actually supposed to be inspected once every 5 years, regardless of whether the dam belongs to the state or belongs to a private entity, farm owners and the mining community. So it is actually a legislative requirement for a dam with a safety risk to be inspected once every 5 years.
Would you know when the last inspection of Sintieke was, and if so, what was found in that inspection, and perhaps you can connect it to its current state?
Yes, Santiago Dam is actually registered as my own dam with our department. It's a 26-meter high dam.
Okay.
It was actually inspected by an approved professional person, that is a dam expert, last year already. So it is actually complying with the requirement in terms of the dam safety legislation. So maybe to answer your question as well, one of the findings that was made by the APP was that at the bottom of the spillway is that part of the dam where water is allowed to spill when the dam is full. There was actually a concrete lining on the spillway channel that was damaged some time ago, a while back. And then around 2011, 2012, that spillway channel that was eroded, which was concrete, was actually replaced by an HDPE liner by the dam owner. And then with the efforts of trying to prevent erosion on the downstream of the spillway, which is the area that actually got damaged during the recent floods that hit Limpopo in Mpumalanga. So that is where we actually saw a lot of erosion that was cutting back into the spillway and threatening the stability of the dam.
So, Mr. Ramokopa, I mean, if somebody is running a food business and they're not practicing sufficient hygiene in the kitchen, you can say you got to close down. If a dam wall has defects, it's a little difficult. You can't very well say, well, please close your dam down. I mean, when defects are seen, what sort of amount of time do the owners of the dam have to provide a remedy? I do understand that the extreme rain and floods would have been an exacerbating factor, but it seems like there was work that needed doing.
Yes, you're correct. The recent floods actually made the situation worse because, as I've just reported, that with the lining that was downstream, that was installed about 2011 or 2012, so the dam has been spilling occasionally. Yes. And then obviously it means that it was able to actually withstand the erosion that occurred. But with this time around with the floods, it was severe floods, and then the erosion was quite severe. And in the report that was submitted by the APP, the department, there was a recommendation actually to repair the lining that was installed because it looks like it was not properly installed, which is what caused the erosion underneath. So it could be that the owners of the dam didn't have much time to repair that HDP liner before the floods hit the area, which is what we suspect. But we're still going to interact with the owner to find out how far were they, because it is actually a privately owned dam and it's owned by a communal property association, which is sometimes a little bit difficult to regulate because it normally such dams are, if they are in the hands of the small community, they don't tend to have much knowledge on rehabilitation, operation and maintenance of dams, which is quite a problem.
Thank you so much. Wally Ramokopa is head of the specialist unit responsible for dam safety at the Department of Water and Sanitation. A good opener, I think, to better understand how these things work and what was already identified as a problem at this dam, Sintieko. If you missed the story, people having to be evacuated downstream because the dam is in a terrible state and possibly facing imminent collapse. We'll explore the story in the days to come. 5:28.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. A kind of a day on the markets, but in the very best possible way.
Indeed, John. Good afternoon. A kind of wow day in so many ways. And since I last spoke to you, the rand has strengthened a little bit. Gold has strengthened a little bit too. A day bit that will be remembered for gold going past $5,000 an ounce, for the rand going past 16 rand to the dollar, strengthening, and the JSE all share hitting new records. The index ending the day 1.87% up, 124,563 points. Financials down 0.0%. 0.03. Industrials are down 0.25%, but wow, resources ending the day up 5.6%. John, important to remember platinum going past $2,800, in fact, quite close to $2,900 right now, and that's having a strong impact as well. So all of that pushing the index up. 91 up 8.65% on the day. I don't think they'll be the only asset manager that'll benefit from strong commodities. Gold Fields up nearly 8%. Anglo Gold up 7.23%. And then some of the platinum miners. Implat's up 5%. Valterra up 4.73%. Northam up over 4.5%. Pan African Resources, they're up 4.82%. They increased their gold production by over 50% in the first half of their financial year. Also, they say a higher gold price expects them to be able to repay all of their debt by the end of next month. I mean, imagine suddenly something happens in your neighborhood and you can just repay your house, like that. I mean, just astonishing. And what do you do with the money afterwards, what's still going to come in? I mean, some people, I heard someone breathe the phrase out loud, gold at 10,000 today. I mean, that seemed like fantasy, but now it just seems like science fiction. It really is quite incredible what we're seeing. Tungela down nearly 3%, Sasol down 2.6%, Bidvest down 2.5%, Mr. Price down 2%. Investors are punishing it, I think, for that NKD deal. Nedbank down 2.15% as well. In the Fashini Group, they had an update last week, down nearly 2%. Cashbuild saying their revenue for the second quarter is up by just 1%. Their previously existing stores, that revenue was down by 2%. Their new stores, there are 15 of them, that contributed growth to 3%. In the US, quite a slew of results coming out this week, and an interest rate decision that weighing on things a little bit. The Dow Jones up 0.41, the Nasdaq up 0.42, the S&P 500 up 0.44. The gold price right now is just a little higher than it was, but is below $5,100. It's at $5,092.09 an ounce. Platinum, $2,861.70. Brent crude, $65.59. The rand to the dollar, 15.97 to the euro. 18.96 to the British pound, 21.87. Obviously, a lot more on the gold price, John. How we got here, where we go next, what it means for a company like Pan African Resources. We'll speak to their CEO. Also, how you, as John Perlman, if you haven't already, can get in on the action, and what to do with your Krugerrands, apart from, hang on to them as tightly as you can. So that would be the one thing. Also, the big story, I think, for so many of us is how much we pay for mobile data on our cell phones. New regulations gazetted. We'll actually speak to the communications regulator, ICASA, about that. I'm looking forward to that conversation. And then from 7:30 tonight, we're going to be speaking to Nosipho Moketo van den Bracht. She is a lawyer, got a master's in law from the LSE. I bet you won't guess what she does now. I'll take the anticipation out. She runs a film studio.
Okay.
They make basically very high-end content for, Netflix and people like that. They do it right here in Joburg. Such an interesting story. Stephen Critis, EWN Business.
Yeah. Thanks, Stephen, back with us at 6 o'clock. Money Show all the way through until 8 o'clock. Maki Molapo is with us right now and has the very latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Trade Union Federation COSATU has urged government to not go ahead with its planned 372 million rand budget for the Defence Force Day parade scheduled for the 21st of February in Thohoyandou. COSATU spokesperson Matthew Parks says government can't move ahead with the costly parade while South African National Defence Force peacekeeping forces deployed to the Democratic Republic of Congo lost lives because of a lack of working air support and armory. He says the same peacekeeping soldiers also saw the SANDF pocket half of their United Nations allowances to make matters even worse. Parks says the 372 million rand can be far better utilized by the SANDF as part of government's efforts to rebuild its capacity. COSATU joins the DA, which has also slammed the decision as a wasteful exercise.
COSATU urges government to halt the mind-boggling planned 372 million rand budget for the Defence Force Day parade and related activities scheduled for 21 February in Thohoyandou. This is a grotesque waste of funds which can be better utilized to address the many pressing needs of the South African National Defence Force. Blowing 372 million rand on a one-day parade will take wasteful expenditure to new lows for the SANDF and the nation.
The Democratic Alliance has joined the search for businessman Edwin Sodi, who is wanted by the Tshwane Metro. The Sunday Times reported that the city claims it has been unable to locate Sodi to deal with the blacklisting of one of his businesses. The newspaper reported that Tshwane officials couldn't trace Sodi to hand over a blacklisting notice. DA mayoral candidate Celia Brink says they formally instructed their legal team to appoint a professional tracing agent to locate Sodi and to submit his details directly to the City of Tshwane and National Treasury.
The DA has this morning instructed our attorneys to do a trace on Edwin Sodi and his associates in order to eliminate any further excuses which the Tshwane Metro might hold up as to why the blacklisting application against him cannot be submitted to National Treasury.
We move to the Western Cape, where the DA in the province has raised concern over what it calls a crippling detective shortage in the province as violent crime continues to escalate. The DA says recent parliamentary replies from SAPS have revealed that nearly 300,000 active criminal cases are under investigation by 2,729 detectives. That means each detective has an average caseload of around 107 dockets. A situation the party says is unsustainable. This comes amid a surge in fatal shootings in gang-ravaged neighborhoods in the Cape. In a recent attack, 3 teenage boys were killed in Samora Machel on Saturday morning and another child was wounded. The DA's Benedicta van Meenen says the detective backlog is contributing to delayed investigations, low conviction rates and a growing culture of impunity.
The DA has repeatedly warned that without urgent intervention by national government, SAPS in the Western Cape will continue to fall behind violent criminals. Communities cannot be expected to live under siege, while detectives lack vehicles, manpower and basic operational support.
And 2 Norwegians have been charged with corruption for allegedly paying $25 million in bribes to Congolese President Denis Nguesso and his family. It's alleged the pair and Norwegian oil and gas company Petronor bribed Nguesso in return for oil licenses. The main bribe was offered in 2016 when the application was submitted, and it included an agreement to give the president and his family a share of an offshore oil license. Prosecutors say the Norwegians accepted that the president and his family would have 1/4 of the income from the sale of oil. A look at your weather. Partly cloudy skies in store for Gauteng tomorrow with afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures will drop to overnight lows between 16 and 18 degrees and peak at highs between 32 and 33 degrees.
Jet Park heading towards Boksburg. You can still expect about a 30-minute delay. R21 southbound. This is on Rietfontein Road between Griffiths and East Rand Mall. Edenvale also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound between Macro Store and the Kilulis interchange, and in Pozo traffic heavily backed up on Witkoppen Road. This is between Main Road and Stonehaven.
The top story in Eyewitness News. Trade Union Federation COSATU has urged government to not go ahead with its planned 372 million rand budget for the Defence Force Day parade scheduled for the 21st of February in Thohoyandou.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
I find sometimes, especially when we're emotionally attached to certain experiences, it feels impossible that there was an alternative explanation for the why.
I think that one is probably the hardest. And when we are in these types of situations, you need to kind of have a self-reflective moment. What are the steps or the contributions that I had made that led to this particular behavioral presentation? And sometimes how it is someone responds to you has got absolutely nothing to do with you. So when you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, I hadn't slighted this person, I didn't treat them in a particular way that warrants any of what is taking place, we have to then let go.
Nomsa Palisa Khadebe, founder and CEO of Neopsych Services.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries. World-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
Running a business can feel like a solo mission.
I mean, you've got the hustle. If only your office Wi-Fi was your employee of the month. Turn on your success with Telkom Business, the partner that always shows up. Get a reliable 25 by 25 megabytes per second connection with Stream Connect Fiber for only 489 rands per month.
This summer, your business deserves the best. Visit telkom.co.za/business for deals that connect your business. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You can become a victim of a legal problem. Wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental dispute, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Speaking of laws of traffic, there's Chops Law. Chops Law is the guy who weaves in and out of traffic, changes lane 20 times, pulls in front of you, hits the brakes, drives out, takes a gap, gets shouted at, causes hooting, and then when you get to the turn-off of the robot where you were going to be, he's 2 or 3 cars ahead of you, sometimes next to you, and even occasionally behind you. And you just shake your head and say, what a chop. That's Chops Law.
Hi, it's Belinda. The inevitable law of cats. If you are allergic to cats, chances are that as you arrive at someone's house, they make a beeline for you.
Hi, John. Interesting show that you're having. I love the topic about the laws that we all make up. I have one. Whenever I am late and I really need those robots to be green so I can go through, they will all be red. All of them. Just as I approach it, out. Just as I approach the next one, out. Only because I'm late. On the days when I'm cruising and I'm not really in a hurry, you know what happens? They're all green. Maria's law of robots working against you. Great show, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, John and the listeners. I also have a law. It's called the stick it out law. Now, if you are caught up in a traffic jam and you see the other lane start moving, you had better stick it out on the lane that you're on, because as soon as it starts changing, then the one that you leave behind will start moving. Likewise, if you are at a checkout point about to pay for your groceries, if you keep on changing lanes or queues, you'll end up getting served much, much later than you would have if you had just stuck it out on the lane that you were on. Tandanani Boxman.
Yeah, a couple more laws before we go to sport. Tumi's law. When you have an early morning meeting, that's the day you will be late for work. Then when you're very early for a meeting, it will be moved to later, says Tumi. Yeah, these are all ringing loud bells. This one from Wilson. The taxi driver, perpetual law of motion. A taxi must always be in a state of motion, even at a stop sign or a red robot. Laws, please, if you got a few more for us, we've got time, we have appetite and interest. 072702 1702. 702 Drive Sport, let's get that.
EWN Sport.
With Tola Kelly Mganga, good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And with the SA20 now complete and the Sunrisers Eastern Cape Crown champions yet again, the attention now switches to next month's T20 World Cup. Fast bowler Andrik Nogia is hopeful that he and other Proteas players from the triumphant Sunrisers setup can reproduce their form with the national team.
It's just trying to take the momentum that we've got. For a few that's going into the World Cup, hopefully we can take that momentum into West Indies and then into the World Cup. It's a short turnaround, but hopefully I think the guys have played enough cricket. It's just about gelling now and getting together as a group again.
Pakistan have delayed a final decision on the team's participation at that World Cup by a week as they keep their options open regarding a possible boycott over Bangladesh's withdrawal. Pakistan's reaction comes after the ICC rejected their demands to relocate their World Cup matches from India to Sri Lanka over security fears, while Scotland have replaced the Tigers in the tournament. At the same time, a baggy green cap that was worn by Don Bradman during a series against India in 1948 has been sold for €232,000 at auction, which which is the highest price for a cap worn by the legendary Australian batter. Bradman had given the cap to Indian cricketer Siranga Sohono, whose family looked after it over the past 75 years. The cap Bradman had given Sohono is one of 11 that he wore and are known to exist and had never been previously been on public display. Switching over to the Bedway Premiership, where Adeslam Madu says a collective effort will make it easy to replace Mbegezeli Mbogazi, that's in the Orlando Pirates defense. The Buccaneers played their first game since his transfer to Chicago Fire, which was a goalless draw with Kakude United.
We have good defenders. You know, the guys did well today. Our philosophy is not only to count on one player. You know, when we are strong defensively, when we manage to have clean sheets, it's because of the collective. It's not only with the one player. Of course, it was important, but I'm sure the guys will do a fantastic job, and they prove it today as well. You can see.
And 2 Italians are through to the quarterfinals of the Australian Open after Yannick Sinner and Lorenzo Musetti booked their spots in the next round. The defending men's champion will next face Ben Shelton, and should he win that one, could possibly meet Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals.
I'm in quarterfinals now, and I have a very tough match the next one, as Novak has. You know, there are positives and negatives. You know, in this sport it can happen, and he always had quite fast matches also. You know, so at times it can also break a little bit the rhythm. In the same time, it can give you a bit more energy than your opponent. It depends.
Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Chale is standing by with the latest.
Well, at this stage, John, if you are leaving Jet Park heading towards Boksburg, you can expect about a 30-minute delay. R21 southbound Rietfontein Road, that's between Griffiths and East Rand Mall. Edenvale, traffic heavily backed up. This is on the N12 westbound from Macro Store to the Kilulis interchange in Alexandra, traveling towards Germiston. You can also still expect about a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. Polshof, traffic pressure on Witkoppen Road between Main Road and Stonehaven, and in Protea Glen, Soweto. There's heavy delays on the N12 westbound. This is between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car full of groceries and a lady who will be attempting to make her mother-in-law's famous recipe for the family dinner tonight.
5 mils of sugar.
The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's butterflies and a potential bonding moment. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive. Okay, we've got time for some music just to wrap up the show. We always look forward to this and hope you do too. Now, I don't know if you were listening last Friday. I was having a chat to Randall Abrams about Randall's one song. It's a wonderful feature. If you haven't heard it before, make sure you're with us on Friday at around 10 to 5. Randall Abrams, who you know well as someone who's had great influence in the music world. The work he did as a judge on Idols, just a small part of the kind of things that he's done. But Randall every week picks for us a song, and the song invariably prompts all sorts of conversation about various things. Now, on Friday, we heard from a British singer called Sinead Harnett, and she was singing in a kind of an R&B style. And I asked Randall a question about when people do American genres, even if they're not American, do they find themselves, I don't know if accent is the only aspect of it, but do they kind of sing it in the way that they expect that music to be sung? I hope that that's clear. But accent does play a big part, you know, even if you're British or Australian or South African, if you're doing something that has an American feel to it musically, do you kind of sing it the way an American would? And that led us to what we want to talk about now. Songs, please, where The song is in English, but the singers are very, very happy to sing it very much in their own accent. Not trying to sound American, not trying to do it American style, whether it's rock or R&B or whatever it might be, but they're doing it exactly their way. And the first song that came to mind, or the first group that came to mind, is the Proclaimers. Let's take a listen.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I haver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm working, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. And when the money comes in for the work I do,
So can you think of a song and an artist performing in English, maybe even performing in genres that are more associated with the US or anything else, but very much doing it in their own accent? This song, by the way, has a very interesting history. It's actually an American folk song, but the Proclaimers took it and they did it their way. Johnny Cash, I know, is a great admirer of this song. Not sure if he actually performed it. So think about it, send us your suggestions, and we will very much enjoy digging through the files and seeing if we can play it for you. The Proclaimers, 500 Miles.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
We've premised our entire approach on believing that the rules-based international order is what it claims to be. And yet consistently we have seen that it is something that's applicable only to some, as Mark Carney says. And one of the points he made was, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
The president outlined exactly similar issues that Mark Carney outlined.
Why is it then that when Mark Carney says it, people listen, and when our president says it, they don't?
Maybe it's because we're Africans.
Minister Ronald Lamola.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
Enjoy the thrill of the Soccer Panthers Challenge Weekend Edition, an all-new platform from Hollywood Bets. You stand a chance to win a share of the 5 million rand jackpot when you bet 5 rand or more on selected EPL matches over the weekend and correctly predict 10 out of 10 winning margins. Or chase the share of the 50,000 rand leaderboard prize. Entry is free. Let this soccer season bring sizzling success. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your #1 choice. Home in One has it all.
702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman was proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
John here from Randburg. I really love As Long As I'm Here by Prime Circle.
Ross has a very unique accent, which is half South African and half Scottish. Cheers.
Find that I am shaking from my head down to my feet. My hands are sweating so bad, and I can barely speak. I read between the lines here, but don't know what to think. It's a guessing game. Was it the face? Was it the moves? Was it the way that she just knew me? Was it the meaning behind every smile? I try to walk, but can't leave. Her eyes, they pierce right through me, but I don't care.
Yeah, terrific singing there, as long as I'm here, and a wonderfully precise way of describing the accent of the singer Ross. Very nice. Prime Circle, South African band. That's a song 11 years old. Yeah, 11 years old in 2 days' time. Lasted well. 702 Drive, songs where the singers, even if they might be using a rock genre or anything else considered American in its roots, nevertheless sing in the accent they have.
Good afternoon, John. This is Kabele from Pretoria. The one musician who always sang in his own accent or pronunciation that I can think of is Jabu Kanyile of Bayete. For example, in one of the songs, 10 Times Lover, there's a word that says, my everything, but he pronounced it my everything because they don't have R in Zulu.
Hi, John. The artist that I think is singing in their own accent in a very unique way is Midnight Oil, and one of my favorite songs by them is Beds Are Burning. They're Australian.
Out where the river broke, the bloodwood and the desert oak, holding wrecks and boiling diesels, steaming 45 degrees. The time has come to say fair's fair, to pay the rent, to pay our share. The time has come, a fact's a fact, it belongs to them, let's give it back. How can we dance when our earth is turning?
Midnight Oil on vocals there, Peter Garrett. Okay, let's have a look at some of the other. This one from Tony says, shut up your face. What's the matter? You got no respect. I can't remember who sang that. We'll find it at some point. Sim says, Basha, the Polish singer, is fascinating. Nicole brings it back home again, all the way from Kimberley, Dr. Victor and the Rasta Rebels. Give me hope, Joanna. And then we had another one. Let me find this. Somebody wanted to hear Krista Berg singing Lady in Red. Let's play it. Harry thinks Krista Berg fits the bill nicely there.
Never seen you looking so lovely as you did tonight. I've never seen you shine so bright. I've never seen so many men ask you if you wanted to dance. They're looking for a little romance, given half a chance. I have never seen that dress you're wearing, or the highlights in your hair that catch your eye.
Chris de Burgh. Now, I did find out who sang Shut Up Your Face, Joe Dolce. And much more important, much more fun, I found the song.
Hello, I'm Giuseppe. I got something special for you. Ready? Uno, due, tre, quattro. When I was a boy, just about the 8th grade, Mama used to say, don't stay out late with the bad boys. Always shoot the pool. Giuseppe going to flunk a school. Boy, it make me sick. All the thing I gotta do. I can't get no kicks. I always got to follow rules. Boy, it make me sick just to make the lousy bucks. Got to feel like a fool. And the mama used to say all the time, what's the matter you? Hey, gotta no respect.
This has been 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, and the team. From all of us, good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, a Pan-African bank that's invested in your story because your story matters.